The scanner beeped again. Dr. Vorath stared at the screen and felt his crystalline skin grow cold. This was wrong. Everything about this reading was completely wrong. The human sat on the medical table, waiting. His name was Lee Do-yun, and he was a captain from Earth. He looked ordinary. Average height, dark hair, calm eyes. Nothing special about him at all. But the genetic scanner said otherwise. Vorath had been a doctor for 40 years. He had scanned thousands of different species. The Galactic Council kept records of 47,000 intelligent species from 12 different galaxies. Every single one of them could be identified in seconds. Their DNA always matched something in the database. Always, until now. Run it again, Vorath told his assistant. Zeeth was a nervous creature with large eyes and thin limbs. He nodded quickly and reset the scanner. The machine hummed. Lights flashed. The hologram appeared in the air, showing the twisted ladder shape of DNA. But most of it glowed red. Red meant unknown. Red meant the computer had no idea what it was looking at. 99% of the human's genetic code was red. "Is there a problem, Doctor?" Do-hyun asked. His voice was polite and friendly. He spoke Galactic Standard very well for someone whose species had only learned it 3 months ago. Vorath chose his words carefully. "Captain Lee, we have never encountered a species like yours. Your genetic code shares nothing with any known life form. No common patterns, no evolutionary markers. Nothing that tells us where you come from or how you developed." Do-hyun tilted his head slightly. "Is that unusual?" "It has never happened before," Vorath said. "Every species we have met shares some basic genetic structures. All life in the known universe follows certain rules. But you humans do not. You are truly alien." The human smiled. It was a small smile, but something about it made Vorath uncomfortable. His species had evolved from prey animals millions of years ago. Deep in his brain, old instincts still worked. Those instincts were telling him to be very, very careful. "So 99% is unknown?" Do-hyun asked. "Yes. We can only identify 1% of your DNA. The rest is a complete mystery." The human's smile grew wider. "Then it's the 1% you should worry about, Doctor." Before Vorath could ask what that meant, alarms started screaming throughout the station. Red lights flashed. The calm medical bay suddenly felt dangerous and urgent. "Warning," the station's computer voice announced. "Hostile ships detected. Multiple vessels approaching. Identification confirmed as Rekar raiders. All personnel report to emergency stations." Vorath's skin went pale. The Rekar were bad news. They were pirates who attacked colonies and stole everything valuable. They killed without mercy and enjoyed causing pain. If they were here, everyone on the station was in serious danger. Do-hyun jumped down from the table. "How many ships?" Zeeth checked his tablet with shaking hands. 20 cruisers. They are spreading out around the station. Our defenses cannot hold them off for long." "Where is my crew?" Do-hyun asked. His voice was still calm, but now there was something sharp underneath it. "Still on your ship in the docking bay," Vorath said. The human headed for the door. "Tell Station Command they have help coming." Vorath followed him. "Captain, wait. Your ship is listed as a diplomatic courier. You have no weapons. You cannot fight 20 warships." Do-hyun stopped at the doorway. He looked back at Vorath, and in that moment the doctor saw something in those human eyes that made his blood freeze. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was something older and more dangerous than both. It was the look of a hunter. "Doctor," Do-hyun said quietly, "we're human. We don't need weapon systems. We are the weapons system." Then he was gone, running toward the docking bay. Vorath stood frozen, staring after him. Zeeth came up beside him. What did he mean by that? Vorath looked back at the genetic scan still floating in the air. That mysterious 99% glowed red in the hologram. Somewhere in that unknown code was the answer to what humans really were. The 1% they could read told them humans were good at healing fast, thinking quickly, and never giving up. They could push their bodies beyond normal limits. They could ignore pain when necessary. They were built to survive in ways that seemed impossible. But what was in the other 99%? Another alarm sounded. Enemy ships entering weapons range. Station shields at maximum. All civilians evacuate to interior sections. Vorath grabbed Zeeth's arm. Come on, we need to get to a shelter. But he could not stop thinking about the human captain and his strange words. Why would someone with no weapons fly toward 20 warships? It made no sense, unless the captain knew something they did not. They reached the shelter and sealed the door. Inside, dozens of station workers huddled together, scared and worried. Everyone knew the Rekar reputation. Everyone knew what happened when they attacked a station. Vorath found a screen and pulled up the external camera feeds. He watched as the 20 Rekar ships formed a circle around the station. They were huge, covered in weapons, painted blood red. Each one could destroy a small moon. Then he saw the human ship leaving the docking bay. The Sejong was small compared to the Rekar cruisers. It looked harmless, just a simple courier vessel meant for carrying messages between planets. It had smooth white and blue hull plating that looked almost decorative, but instead of running away, it flew directly toward the enemy fleet. What is he doing? Someone whispered. The Sejong positioned itself between the station and the Rekar ships. Alone. One small courier against 20 massive warships. Then something impossible happened. The human ship began to change. Panels on its hull slid open. Hidden compartments revealed themselves. What emerged made Vorath's jaw drop open in shock. Weapons. Hundreds of them. Missile launchers, energy cannons, railguns, and other systems Vorath did not even recognize. The ship's power readings went from normal to off the charts in seconds. The Rekar fleet paused, confused by the readings their sensors were showing them. A voice came over the station's communication system. It was Do-hyun, still sounding completely calm. Station command, this is Captain Lee. We have the situation under control. Please keep all civilians inside until we give the all-clear signal. Under control? Zeeth whispered. How can he say that? The Rekar leader must have decided to attack. All 20 ships opened fire at once, and the battle began. Commander Brilak stood in the control room, watching the battle displays with growing horror. 20 Rekar warships surrounded the station. Each ship carried enough weapons to destroy a city. Together, they could turn the entire station into dust in minutes. The station's defenses were pathetic compared to that kind of firepower. They might last 15 minutes. Maybe 20 if they were lucky. Shield strength at 40%, reported Lieutenant Mira. She was a Draken covered in protective scales that changed color with her emotions. Right now they were pale white, which meant fear. We cannot win this fight, Commander. Brillax was tall even for an Orthian. He had 4 arms and glowing marks on his skin that pulsed when he was stressed. They were pulsing very fast right now. How many people on the station? 3,000 civilians, plus 200 council delegates from various worlds. Can we evacuate? Not enough time, Commander. The Rekar will be in weapons range in 3 minutes. The communication system crackled to life. Station Command, this is Captain Lee Do-hyun of the human vessel Sejong. Requesting permission to launch from docking bay. Brillax felt a wave of sadness. The humans were running. He could not blame them. They were new to this galaxy. They had no reason to die for a station full of strangers. Permission granted, Captain. May you reach safety. Thank you, Commander. We will take up position between your station and the enemy fleet. Every person in the control room froze. Mira's scales went from white to bright orange in shock. Did he just say between us and them? Brillax quickly opened the communication channel again. Captain Lee, please clarify your position. Are you moving to intercept? Affirmative, Commander. Hold your position. We will handle the Rekar. The tactical display updated. The human ship left the docking bay and moved at incredible speed toward the enemy. It was small, maybe the size of a medium transport vessel. Against 20 warships, it looked like a child facing adult warriors. He's going to die, someone whispered. The Sejong positioned itself in front of the station. For a moment, nothing happened. The Rekar ship seemed confused about what to do with this single small vessel blocking their path. Then the human ship transformed. Hull panels slid away. Hidden sections opened up. What emerged made Brillax stop breathing. Weapons, so many weapons. Missile pods, energy projectors, railgun arrays, and systems he did not even recognize. The ship's energy signature jumped from nearly zero to levels that should be impossible for something that size. Sweet, infinite darkness, Mira breathed. That's not a courier ship. That's a hunter. The Vrekar hesitated. Their sensors were probably screaming warnings at them, but they were pirates used to bullying weaker targets. Their leader made the mistake of thinking numbers would win. All 20 wrecker ships opened fire. The Sejong responded. What happened next was not a battle. It was an execution. The human ship moved like liquid metal. It twisted and turned with impossible precision. Every movement was calculated perfectly. It was never where the enemy shots went. It was always somewhere else, somewhere better, and its weapons were terrifying. Railgun rounds punched through wrecker shields like they were made of paper. Missiles split into smaller missiles that danced around defensive fire and hit with perfect accuracy. Energy beams cut through armor like it was nothing. In 90 seconds, 3 Wreckar cruisers exploded into clouds of metal and fire. This is impossible, Mira said. Her voice shook. How is one ship doing this? Brilax could not answer. He watched as the Sejong destroyed ship after ship with cold efficiency. The Vrekar tried everything. They spread out. They focused fire. They attempted ramming maneuvers. Nothing worked. The humans predicted every move. They were always 3 steps ahead. It was like watching someone who knew the future fighting people who could only see the present. One Vrekar captain tried to ram the human ship in a suicide attack. The Sejong adjusted its course by just a few meters, let the cruiser pass by within touching distance, then fired directly into its engine core. The explosion was so bright it hurt to look at. 5 minutes after the battle started, it was over. 20 Vrekar warships were gone. Only debris remained, floating in space like grave markers. The Sejong hung there among the wreckage, completely undamaged. Not a single enemy shot had even come close to hitting it. The control room was silent. Everyone stared at the tactical display in shock. Some people looked sick. Others looked terrified. Brilax just felt numb. Do-hyun's voice came through the speakers, calm as if nothing important had happened. Station command, threat eliminated. Returning to docking bay. You might want to send cleanup crews for the debris field. Could be a navigation hazard. Brilax found his voice after a long moment. Captain Lee, that was remarkable. Thank you for saving our station. Just doing what we came here to do, Commander. Helping our future allies. Captain, I must ask. Your ship is registered as a diplomatic courier vessel. Is that classification accurate? Yes, Commander. The Sejong is a courier ship by human standards. We use it to deliver messages and personnel to dangerous locations. Brilax felt cold. If this was what humans called a courier ship, what did their actual military vessels look like? He was almost afraid to ask, but he had to know. Captain, what do your warships look like? There was a pause, then a sound that might have been a laugh. Commander, let's just say you really don't want to find out. Let's hope we all stay friends. The communication ended. Brilax slowly sat down in his command chair. His forearms felt weak. His glowing marks had stopped pulsing and now just gave off a steady, worried light. Mira came over to him. Commander, what have we gotten ourselves into? What are these humans? I don't know, Brilax said quietly. But I think we just saw why their genetic code is 99% unknown. They're not like us. They're not like anyone we've ever met. Should we be afraid? Brilax looked at the debris field on the screen. 20 ships destroyed in 5 minutes. A courier vessel doing what an entire battle fleet could not do. Yes, he said finally. But I think we should be more afraid of making them our enemies. Across the station, emergency alerts were being canceled. People emerged from shelters confused but alive. The Vrekar attack that should have killed everyone had been stopped by a single small ship from a species nobody had heard of 3 months ago. News of the battle spread fast. Within hours, every major power in the galaxy would know about the humans and what they could do. The galaxy was about to change in ways nobody could predict, and it all started with a courier ship that was not really a courier ship and a species that was 99% mystery. The council chamber was full. Representatives from 40 different species filled the huge room, all wanting to see the humans who had destroyed 20 Wreckar ships. The air buzzed with nervous energy and quiet conversations. Captain Lee Do-hyun stood at the center podium with his crew. Lieutenant Kang Mirai stood to his right, her expression calm and professional. Engineer Park Ji-woo was on his left, watching everything with sharp, intelligent eyes. Behind them stood Corporal Cho Hanul, the young pilot who had flown the Sejong through the battle like it was a simple training exercise. Council Arbiter Veloth looked down at them from the high seat. He was very old, even for a Kelthian. His crystalline body had turned almost completely opaque with age. His voice was strong despite his years. Captain Lee Do-hyun of Earth, your actions yesterday saved this station and everyone on it. The Council thanks you for your bravery and skill. Do-hyun bowed slightly. We were honored to help, Arbiter. However, Veloth continued, his tone becoming harder, you have also deceived us. You came to Council space claiming to be peaceful diplomats. Your ship was registered as a civilian courier, yet it carried weapons that rival our best military vessels. Worried murmurs spread through the chamber. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. We never claimed to be defenseless, Arbiter, Do-hyun replied calmly. Your registry asked us to classify our weapons. We did so according to human military standards. We cannot help if your definitions are different from ours. Ambassador Thirax jumped to his feet. He was a Gorvan, with mottled blue skin and an aggressive personality. A courier ship? You call that monster a courier ship? It destroyed 20 warships in minutes. Mirai stepped forward slightly. By human standards, the Sejong is a courier vessel. It delivers messages and people to dangerous areas. Therefore, it needs appropriate defenses for that job. Defenses? Thirax's voice rose higher. That was not defense. That was slaughter. Hanil spoke up quietly from the back. 17 ships were destroyed by our weapons. 3 self-destructed trying to avoid our targeting systems. The chamber went completely silent. Dr. Vorath entered through a side door, moving quickly. He carried a data tablet that glowed with urgent priority marks. Arbiter, if I may speak. I have completed my full analysis of human genetics. Veloth gestured for him to continue. Vorath's voice trembled as he spoke. The 1% of human DNA we can identify shows markers for extreme adaptability, rapid healing, enhanced pattern recognition, and something we can only call weaponized persistence. Their brain structure is optimized for quick threat assessment and response. He brought up a holographic display showing genetic comparisons. They have backup systems for almost every biological function. Their brains can work under conditions that would shut down most species completely. They can survive injuries that would instantly kill anyone else we know. Vorath paused, then continued. And this is just the 1% we understand. The other 99% remains a mystery. We have theories, but none of them are comforting. Tell us your theories, Veloth commanded. Based on patterns we can detect, we believe that 99% contains code for abilities that have not activated yet. Latent capabilities waiting for the right triggers to wake them up. The assembly erupted in alarmed discussion. Thirax stood again, his face dark with anger and fear. Are you saying these humans are biological weapons? Created by someone for war? No, Do-hyun said. His quiet voice somehow cut through all the noise. We're survivors. Everyone turned to look at him. Earth, our home world, is what you would call a Class 12 death world. Gravity is stronger than most species can handle. Oxygen levels are toxic to many aliens. Weather patterns can kill in minutes. And that's before we talk about the other species we shared the planet with. Jiwoo pulled up an image of Earth. It looked beautiful from space, blue and green and peaceful. We were not always the strongest creatures on our world, Arbiter. We evolved alongside animals that were bigger, faster, and more powerful than us. So we adapted. We learned to think ahead, to plan, to make tools. We learned to work together because alone we would die. And we learned something else, Do-hyun added, his dark eyes moving across the chamber. We learned that the universe does not care about fair. It does not care about honor or mercy or peace. It cares about one thing only, survival. And humans are very, very good at surviving. Veloth leaned forward. So when you classified your ship's weapons as standard for a courier vessel, you were being truthful? Yes, Arbiter. The Sejong is designed to deliver messages to hostile places. By our standards, yesterday's engagement was routine defensive action. Routine, Thirax repeated flatly. He sat down heavily, looking stunned. Mirai shrugged slightly. 20 ships is barely a raiding party where we come from. Their tactics were predictable. Tight formation, reliance on firepower. No adaptive strategy, basic pirate tactics. The silence that followed was heavy and uncomfortable. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. Finally, Veloth spoke carefully. Captain Lee, what exactly does Earth's military fleet look like? Do-hyun smiled. Once again, that smile made every survival instinct in the room scream warnings. With respect, Arbiter, I think that is a conversation better saved for when you decide whether you want us as allies or enemies. The implications hung in the air like smoke. The humans were giving the Council a choice. Accept them as friends and never have to find out what their real military looked like, or reject them and possibly face consequences nobody wanted to imagine. The Council will deliberate, Veloth announced. This session is adjourned for 3 days. We will reconvene to discuss humanity's petition for membership. As the humans left the chamber, conversations erupted throughout the room. Some delegates looked terrified. Others looked thoughtful. A few looked almost excited. Vorath watched them go, still thinking about that genetic scan. 99% unknown. What secrets did that mysterious code contain? What other capabilities did humans have that they had not shown yet? And most worrying of all, if a courier ship could do what the Sejong did, what horrors could a human warship unleash? He suspected the galaxy was about to find out whether it wanted to or not. The humans had made themselves known. They had shown just enough power to make everyone afraid, but not enough to reveal their full capabilities. It was, Vorath had to admit, a brilliant strategy. Make potential enemies fear you while making potential allies feel protected. Show mercy to prove you are not monsters, but show enough strength that nobody wants to test your limits. The next 3 days were going to be very interesting. 3 days passed slowly. During that time, the footage of the battle spread across every communication network in known space. The video became the most watched piece of media in galactic history. Everyone wanted to see the mysterious humans and their impossible ship. Dr. Vorath spent those days running more tests. Each test revealed something new and disturbing about human biology. He learned that humans could voluntarily push their bodies into emergency mode, something they called an adrenaline response. In this state, they could ignore pain, override their own safety limits, and continue fighting after injuries that should stop them. But it was a conversation with engineer Park Ji-woo that truly frightened him. They met in the observation lounge. Large windows showed the space around the station, including the debris field from the Wrecker battle. Ji-woo sat comfortably drinking something called coffee. It was a mild stimulant that would poison most species, but humans drank it casually. "You're afraid of us," Ji-woo said directly. Vorath's crystalline skin flickered with embarrassment. "I am concerned about what your species represents." "Because of what you cannot understand in our genetics?" "Partly, but also because of what we can understand. Your species has capabilities that evolution usually only gives to apex predators or species designed for war, yet you claim to be peaceful." Ji-woo took another drink of her coffee. "We are peaceful, Doctor. We also happen to be very dangerous. Those two things are not opposites. Please explain." "Earth's history is violent. We will not lie about that. For thousands of years, humans fought each other over everything. Resources, land, ideas, beliefs. We became very good at killing each other." She gestured at the debris field outside. "But we also learned. We learned that violence has a cost, that war destroys as much as it conquers. Eventually, we realized that working together was better than fighting. Not because we became weaker, but because we chose not to use our strength against each other anymore." "So you turned your violent nature outward instead?" Vorath asked. "No. We redirected our protective instincts." "There is a difference." Ji-woo's eyes became distant. "Humans will die for each other, Doctor. Not just family or friends. We will sacrifice ourselves for complete strangers if we think it is right. We will die for abstract ideas like justice or freedom. Most species would call that irrational. But it is also why we are dangerous. We do not just fight for ourselves. We fight for what we believe should be protected. And we are extremely stubborn about it." Before Vorath could respond, alarms began blaring through the station. This was a different alarm from before, higher-pitched and more urgent. "Alert," the station computer announced. "Unknown vessels approaching at high speed. Identification confirmed. Krell hegemony warships. Multiple Dreadnought-class signatures detected. All personnel to battle stations." Vorath's skin went completely pale. The Krell were not pirates. They were a major military power, aggressive and expansionist. Their dreadnoughts were mobile fortresses, each one capable of destroying entire fleets, and 6 of them were heading toward the station. Ji-woo stood up and finished her coffee in one swallow. "How long until they reach weapons range?" 20 minutes? That is plenty of time. She walked toward the exit. Engineer Jiwoo, you cannot fight 6 Krell dreadnoughts. Your ship might have defeated the Rekar, but this is different. The Krell are real military power. She stopped at the door and looked back with a smile that made Vorath's ancient prey instincts scream. Doctor, we are not going to use the Sejong for this. Then what will you use? We are going to call for backup. 10 minutes later, Vorath found himself in the control room again. Commander Brelax stood at the tactical display, his forearms working frantically at different controls. Can we evacuate in time? Someone asked. Negative, Lieutenant Mira reported. Her scales were white again with fear. Even if we start now, the Krell will be in range before we can evacuate even 10% of the population. Incoming transmission from Krell Command, announced the communications officer. The main screen activated. Warlord Krathix appeared, a massive Krell with armored plates and 4 manipulator arms. His species had evolved from pack hunters, and it showed in every movement he made. Council Station. Krathix's voice was rough and grinding. We have come for the humans. Give them to us, and we might not destroy your station. Brelax straightened to his full height. The humans are under council protection. You will leave immediately or face consequences. Krathix laughed, a sound like grinding metal. The Krell hegemony does not fear council diplomacy. We watched your battle footage. We know what the humans are. They are living weapons. We will take them, study them, and create our own versions. Your objections mean nothing. A new voice cut into the transmission, calm and measured and utterly cold. Warlord Krathix, this is Admiral Park Soyon of the Human Defense Fleet. You will stand down immediately. Every screen in the control room updated at once. New contacts were appearing on sensors. Ships emerging from faster-than-light travel. Not one ship. Not 10 ships. 50 human warships materialized in perfect formation between the station and the Krell fleet. Unlike the Sejong, these were clearly not courier vessels. They were predators made of metal and purpose. Each ship was sleek and angular, covered in hull plating that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with synchronized precision that was beautiful and terrifying to watch. The flagship was enormous, dwarfing even the Krell dreadnoughts. Its name appeared on the screens. Victory through understanding. The name is ironic, Vorath whispered. Deliberate irony, Mira agreed. Her voice hollow. Admiral Park's voice came through again, now addressing everyone. Station Command, maintain your position. Council delegates, you are under human protection. Krell vessels, you have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal. On the screen, Krathix's expression twisted. 50 ships against 6 dreadnoughts? You have courage, humans. But courage without wisdom is suicide. 20 seconds, Admiral Park interrupted. Krathix snarled. You dare give me orders? Fire on the human vessels. 10 seconds, all weapons, open fire. Krathix roared. The Krell dreadnoughts unleashed everything they had. Massive plasma cannons that could vaporize ships. Missile swarms that numbered in the thousands. Energy beams that could cut through asteroids. It was enough destructive power to eliminate a fleet 10 times over. Every single shot missed. The human ships moved like they were dancing. They flowed around the incoming fire with movements so precise they seemed impossible. They did not dodge randomly. They moved with purpose, repositioning themselves into a new formation that looked like a closing fist. This is impossible, Brelax whispered. The Krell targeting systems are military grade. Nothing can avoid that volume of fire. They are not avoiding it, Mira said, realization dawning in her voice. Look at the timing. They are moving before the Krell fire. They know what the enemy will do before it happens. Captain Dohyun appeared beside Vorath as if from nowhere. Pattern recognition, he explained quietly. Krell battle doctrine is rigid, effective but predictable. Our computers analyzed every recorded Krell battle before we came here. We know exactly how they think. The battle was about to begin in earnest, and Vorath suspected the Krell were about to learn a very hard lesson. The human fleet completed its formation. 50 ships now surrounded the 6 Krell dreadnoughts from 3 different angles. It looked like a trap closing, smooth and inevitable. Admiral Park's voice came through the speakers one more time. Warlord Krathix, final warning, withdraw now. On the view screen, Krathix's face was twisted with rage and pride. Krell warriors do not retreat. All ships full assault. Destroy them. Demonstration authorized, Admiral Park said calmly. Target Dreadnought 3. Surgical strike. Make it educational. 5 human warships broke away from the main formation. They moved with perfect coordination like fingers on a hand. They did not fire massive weapon barrages like the Krell expected. Instead, they fired careful, precise shots. The first volley hit the Dreadnought's shield generators. Not random hits, but perfectly targeted strikes on specific vulnerable points. The shields flickered and died in cascading sequence. The second volley destroyed the point defense systems. Each shot eliminated one defensive turret with surgical precision. Within seconds, the Dreadnought could not protect itself from incoming fire. The third volley took out the engines. Main propulsion first, then auxiliary power, then maneuvering thrusters. The massive warship went from a deadly predator to a helpless target in under a minute. But the humans did not destroy it. They left it floating dead in space, unable to move, unable to fight, unable to defend itself. Yet every Krell warrior aboard was still alive. Life support systems remained functional. Communication still worked. The humans had completely disabled a Krell dreadnought without killing anyone. That, Captain Do-Yun said quietly beside Vorath, is the difference between being able to destroy and choosing not to. In the control room, nobody spoke. They all stared at the tactical display in shock. A Krell dreadnought, one of the most feared warships in the galaxy, had been rendered completely helpless in less than 60 seconds. On the view screen, Warlord Krathix stared at his disabled ship. His armored face showed no emotion, but his body language betrayed his shock. Around him, his bridge crew stood frozen. "We can do that to all 6 of your ships," Admiral Park continued, her voice matter-of-fact. "We can leave you floating here, completely helpless, waiting for rescue that might take weeks. Or you can withdraw now with your fleet intact and your warriors alive to fight another day." She paused. "This is mercy, Warlord. I suggest you recognize it as such." For a long moment, nothing happened. The Krell dreadnoughts held position. The human fleet waited patiently, weapons ready but not firing. The station held its breath. Then slowly Krathix raised one of his manipulator arms in what the Krell used as a sign of acknowledgement. His voice was tight with barely controlled anger. "The hegemony withdraw. For now." His eyes narrowed as he looked directly at the camera. "But this is not over, humans. You have revealed yourselves to the galaxy. That cannot be undone. Many will fear you now. Some will want to destroy you before you become too powerful." "We understand," Admiral Park replied. "We are counting on it." The Krell fleet began to withdraw. The disabled dreadnought was taken in tow by one of its sister ships. Slowly, all 6 warships turned and accelerated away, disappearing back into faster-than-light travel. The human fleet maintained its formation, still arranged in that predatory pattern. They looked ready to spring into action at any moment. After several minutes, they too began to withdraw. Most of the ships jumping away to whatever base they came from. Only the flagship remained. Holding position near the station, Commander Brillax turned to Captain Do-Yun. His bioluminescent markings pulsed with a mixture of relief and lingering fear. "Captain, why did you show mercy?" "The Krell came here to capture you, to turn your species into weapons for their own use." Do-Yun's expression was thoughtful. "Because dead enemies teach no lessons, Commander. But enemies who survive learn to respect boundaries. The Krell will remember this day. They will remember that humans could have killed them all and chose not to. That message will spread faster than any threat we could make. It will be more effective too." Brillax considered this. "You are playing a larger game. You want the galaxy to see you as dangerous but not cruel, powerful but controlled." "Exactly. We want allies, not subjects. Partners, not servants. But we also want everyone to understand that attacking humans or our friends would be a very bad decision." Vorath approached slowly, his crystalline skin reflecting the lights of the control room. "Captain, the genetic scan. That 1% we could identify. You said that was what we should worry about." "What did you mean?" Do-Yun smiled, but this time there was warmth in the expression. "Doctor, you are asking the wrong question. You should not fear what we are. You should hope we are on your side. And that 99% we cannot identify, that is potential, Doctor. Room to grow, to adapt, to become more than what we are now. Evolution gave us tools. Culture taught us how to use them wisely. The 1% you can read tells you we are survivors. The 99% you cannot read represents all the possibilities of what we might become." He looked out at the space where the battle had taken place. Debris from the earlier Rekar fight still floated there, a reminder of violence. But now there was no new debris. The Krell had been defeated without a single death. We learned from our violent past, Do-hyun continued quietly. We learned that the ability to destroy something does not mean you should. We learned that showing mercy requires more strength than showing cruelty, and we learned that the best victories are the ones where everyone survives to learn from their mistakes. Vorath felt something shift in his understanding. The humans were not just warriors. They were philosophers who happened to be very good at war. They were scientists who studied violence so they could avoid it. They were teachers using demonstrations instead of lectures. The council vote is tomorrow, Brilak said. After today, I suspect the result will be very different from what anyone expected 3 days ago. Different how? Do-hyun asked. 3 days ago, many delegates would have voted against you out of fear. Now I think many will vote for you because of that same fear. Nobody wants to be on the opposite side from humanity. That is not the reason we want, Do-hyun said. We want allies who choose us because they share our values, not because they are afraid. Then give them time, Brilak advised. Fear opens the door. Trust must be built afterward. You have shown you can be dangerous. Now you must show you can be reliable. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Wise advice, Commander. We will remember it. As the humans left the control room, conversations started throughout the station. People emerged from shelters again, twice saved by the mysterious humans from Earth. The story of the Krell demonstration would join the story of the Rekar battle. Together, these stories would define how the galaxy saw humanity for generations to come. A species that was 99% mystery and 1% proven capability. A species that could destroy fleets but chose to disable ships instead. A species that valued life even when showing overwhelming force. Vorath watched through the observation windows as the human flagship prepared to jump away. Victory through understanding. The name was indeed ironic, but also accurate. The humans had achieved victory not just through force, but through carefully showing exactly what they wanted others to understand. They were dangerous. They were capable. They were merciful. And most importantly, they were offering friendship to those wise enough to accept it. The vote tomorrow would determine the future of galactic politics for centuries. And Vorath suspected he already knew how it would go. After all, only a fool would reject an offer of alliance from someone who was 99% unknown potential.